So yesterday we talked about how humans impact the environment, and that started when humans started to hunting and gathering, and then the development of agriculture, and then also industry and urban development. So all of these things contribute to man's impact on the environment. So one of the resources we have that the earth provides is land resources. So land is a resource that provides space, it allows a place for humans to live, and it provides soil, so very rich soil in which crops can grow. But soil has to be managed. Okay, soil is a renewable resource, but it has to be managed. If soil is mismanaged, it can be permanently damaged. So we know that food crops grow best in fertile soil. So in order to have fertile soil, it's a mixture of sand, clay, rock particles, and humus. Humus is the material that comes from dead organisms. So if you've ever helped plant a garden or plant some sort of flower bed, generally people will buy very fertile soil. You could get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, some sort of home type of store where they sell things like flowers and pots for potted plants and that kind of thing. So fertile soil is very important, and it's something that you can buy at the store if you need some very rich soil. So, for land resources, most of the humus that makes the soil fertile is found in the uppermost layer of the soil called topsoil. And so topsoil is one of those things you can purchase. If you're a farmer, though, you can't purchase tons and tons of topsoil, right? The land that you buy should actually naturally have some fertile soil on it already. So good topsoil is produced by the long-term interactions between the soil and the plants growing in the soil. So the topsoil is held in place by deep roots of the plants growing in it. One impact humans have had on soil is soil erosion. So plowing the land removes the roots that hold the soil in place, and then erosion is a wearing away of surface soil by water and wind. So I told you guys a story about the soil erosion we have at North Murray. It's near the football field. There is a little road that goes towards the back of the concession stand. And on the side there's grass that should grow. And I think what they did one year was they killed the grass so that they wouldn't have to mow it, because it's hard to mow because it's on a hill. So and it's pretty steep, and so it's really hard to mow. So they killed the grass, and what ended up happening was they had soil erosion. You could see where the soil was just, when it rained, the rain would take the soil down with it. So they're like little gullies, okay, in the soil. And so they ended up having to plant some plants here where it wasn't grass, but it was like little shrubs to where they would grow, but they wouldn't grow very tall, and so it kept the soil from eroding from the side of the hill. And so we see pictures here of that happening. Anytime you clear trees, especially in an area on the side of a hill, you'll have soil erosion. Or if you have on the side of ditches, sometimes ditches are really hard to mow, and people kill the grass with some sort of herbicide, and the soil ends up eroding, and they end up having to figure out some other alternative. So an alternative, if you don't want to have grass, is to plant. There are different types of bushes you can buy that don't grow very tall, and you don't have to mow it, but it still keeps the soil intact, and it's a good alternative to having grass. All right, so in certain parts of the world with dry climates, a combination of farming, overgrazing, and drought has turned productive areas into deserts. Okay, so You have to watch that with your soil quality. There's certain things you need to add to your soil to keep it from being depleted of nutrients. And so this process is called desertification and can be guarded against by careful land management. So, for example, in contour plowing, the fields are plowed across the slope of the land to reduce erosion. Okay, so why is that? Well, if you have, in the same case, I have the same issue here with my garden at home. My backyard is kind of on a slope. It slopes down from my house back. It goes down. And what I end up having to do with my garden is, since it slopes down, I have my rows for my garden have to be the other way around. So they have to go from side to side instead of up and down. Because if they were up and down every time it rained, the rain would just wash through the garden. And so that's what they're saying here. If you have a slope, okay, of land, you have to plow side to side, so that way you're not going to have, when the rain comes, the rain's not going to go wash through your rows. So stems and roots of the crops from the previous year can be left in place to help hold the soil in place so you don't have soil erosion. That's another way of keeping your soil protected in between growing seasons, is by keeping the plants in place. All right, so what are some forest resources? So Earth's forests not only provide essential resources for humans, but they also serve essential ecological functions. So for example, where do we get the wood from in order to build our homes? Well, that of course comes from some sort of a forest, right? Pine forest maybe, or a forest that also has maybe oak or hickory. So forests are important because we use wood for building homes. We also have a lot of paper products that, of course, paper comes from wood, and any paper products comes from wood too, like toilet paper, paper towels, Kleenex, that kind of thing. Any kind of tissues come from paper. In many parts of the world, wood is still used as a fuel for cooking. Okay, even now, if you want to smoke some sort of meats, you have to add wood to the coals on your grill, and you're able to on your barbecue pit, and you're able to smoke some meat that way. But you're adding wood. Some people use wood for backyard barbecues, or if they want, sometimes people will build just a regular fire out of regular wood from their wooded lot, and will cook food over that fire. Ecologically, the forests play a far greater role as well. Photosynthetic plants remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and replace it with oxygen. Okay, so we know CO2 is generated from even our vehicles, right? We have carbon dioxide gas increases over time because that's what's causing global warming, is carbon dioxide levels going up. And so the number of plants really affects how much carbon dioxide are in the atmosphere. So how much is in the atmosphere is dependent upon the number of plants. So, number of plants is really important to have a large amount. Also, photosynthesis. We know photosynthesis uses energy from the sun to convert that to glucose in plants, and also helps produce other organic compounds in plants, and is the basis for the food chain, because we know that producers are plants, and so we know they play a very important role in biomass, and also as producers in food chains and food webs. The forest provides habitat for many other organisms. Okay, when you clear out a forest, what happens? Well, you have all these animals that become homeless. And so the forest is a home for many, many animals. Forests moderate climate. Okay, so on a global and regional level, the forest can affect the climate. Forests also help to eliminate soil erosion. Why? Because you have all those trees with all those roots that keeps that soil in place. Some forests may be considered renewable resources, while others are non-renewable. And again, that is dependent upon the time frame. So, for example, the temperate forests of the northeastern United States can be considered renewable because most of these forests have already been cut once. Okay, and have time to regrow. And if you look at the pictures here, we're talking about pine forests. In the northeastern U.S., we have a lot of pine, and pine trees grow very fast. 20 to 30 years, you can grow a pine tree. So, and then you have some trees that take a very long time to grow. All right. So, for example, here is a picture of a tree here. It's referred to as old growth forests. So, see these very big, large trees. They have never been cut. Old growth forest is, if it's cut, it may take centuries or hundreds of years before it's replaced. They are essentially non-renewable resources. Why? Because within our lifetimes, we will not be able to grow one of these trees if it takes hundreds of years to grow. All right, so old growth forest contains plants and animal species that are lost when logging occurs, because these forests have been around for such a long time that the animals that live there or have sort of evolved to live there, and if you were to eliminate these forests, their habitat would be gone, and they would become extinct. So what is deforestation? Deforestation can lead to severe erosion, which can wash away nutrients in the topsoil. Grazing and plowing following deforestation prevents the regrowth of trees. And so deforestation, we see this in Chatsworth. If you go towards town, on the left-hand side, you can see a place on the side of the mountain where they're starting to cut down the trees, and you can see the erosion in the soil. All right, so in Chatsworth, we see deforestation. And why are they doing that? Well, usually they're going to take the land and use it to either build homes or possibly build some sort of industry or something like that. Okay, so deforestation just means that it's the loss of forest. So usually when they're removing trees, they're wanting to use the land for something other than a forest. Okay, sometimes it could be for agricultural purposes. Maybe they want to, somebody wants to start a farm or something like that. So there are different reasons for it, but deforestation just means the loss of trees due to repurposing of the land.